Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and comic book fans, movie fans, sports fans, or even just music fans of all ages. This is Aussieverse here. And today we are discussing a topic that most people should know, and it's going to be our top 5 Star Wars. So with also too, go visit us on Aussieverse. Instagram, I'll plug there, and go visit us there. And then all our designs by A51 Designs, go check out her page. Got good content, and give it a like and subscribe with that as well. We've done the $400 gift. We've done the 400 subscriber giveaway.
We have.
Yeah.
We have.
Yes. And that's basically all I can think of to start with, guys. Sorry. So what we're going to do here is pretty simple. We'll start with Ryan, then me, then Sharif, Simon, and Beau. And we're going to do our top 5s, and I'm going to tally up the scores, and we're just going to discuss out of the official Aussieverse top 5, the adding up of all the scores. But first off, I guess I better get down to just to say, how are you all going?
Let's get it on!
So the way the score's going to work, say your number 5, Ryan's are going to be worth 1 point, and your number 1's going to be worth 5. So, and I'll add up all the tallies while you discuss something between yourselves at the end of it. So we'll start off you, Ryan.
Okay.
Fire away.
Number 5, we're going to go with the one that kicked it all off, A New Hope.
What's that? New Hope. Okay.
We're going to go with A New Hope for number 5.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Number 4, Return of the Jedi. Number 3, Revenge of the Sith. Number 2, Rogue One. And number 1, Empire Strikes Back.
All right.
I'm nervous.
So my top 5's going to be number 5, Attack of the Clones. 4, Force Awakens. 3, Empire Strikes Back. 2 is Rogue One. And my number 1 is Return of the Jedi.
I can't wait to get to the discussion part.
All right, Sherry?
All right. My number 5, Rogue One. Number 4, Revenge of the Sith. Number 3, Rise of Skywalker. Sorry, where am I? Number 2, Return of the Jedi. And number 1, Empire Strikes Back.
Nice. Simple Simon, what have you got?
I'm just going to break the flow quickly. Sorry. I just want so people to know, especially like real Star Wars guys like Ryan. I know I like to say that I'm a Star Wars guy, but I am very new to it. I've only watched, in fact, I haven't seen every Star Wars film, but we'll get to that later. I haven't seen episode 1.
You're not missing much.
I only watched majority of them this year because obviously Mando is what really got me. But anyway, my 5, I'll go with Rogue One for number 5. I'm gonna go with Force Awakens for number 4. I'll go with A New Hope for number 3. Empire for number 2, and I Am a Jedi Guy. So Return of the Jedi, number 1.
Very nice.
That would be a great.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
I can respect that list.
I Am a Jedi Guy.
You all right? OmniBeau?
Yeah, mine. Number 5, A New Hope. Number 4, Solo, A Star Wars Story. Number 3, Empire Strikes Back. Number 2, Revenge of the Sith. And number 1, baby, Return of the Jedi.
Ooh. Right. All right, so
Did you not have
discuss among
Empire at all?
yourselves.
First
Did you
off,
not have Empire at
straight,
all?
why
Hey.
is Rise of Skywalker in there? That movie is an abomination to Star Wars that just
Is that
decided,
Wait.
you know what? We're going to ignore everything that was set up in the last movie to pay off stuff that was set up in the first movie, and ultimately none of it makes sense. We have to explain the plot in Fortnite, for God's sake.
I just wanted the world to see you get angry. Keep going, bro.
Yeah, keep going.
Like, hell, half the plot, it's explained in the book that came out after the movie. End of rant.
Sure, that won't be the first.
Solo
time.
was a good one. I actually was tossing up between putting Solo and Rogue One because I really enjoyed Solo. I just thought it was a fun
Yeah.
sort of ride. There was some lame parts in it, but
I think it was
Really enjoyed it.
underrated. I think people put it up on a pedestal because it was a solo movie. And to be honest, the guy didn't really feel like Han Solo, but still an
But how-
enjoyable
how-
movie.
Good actors in it though, too, man.
Yeah, Woody Harrison. Can't go
Yeah.
wrong.
Solo gets bonus points for having Darth Maul. That's all I have to say.
At the very end.
Yep. That 2 minutes of screen time he gets where he wears a hood for half of it, he gets points for that.
But why I can't understand how Force Awakens would be on the list instead of just selecting New Hope, because basically it's the same movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Because halfway through, I've seen this before. Why am I sitting here again?
Ross, I thought, what the hell's going on with this flick, man? I thought, like, I forget a lot of movies that I've seen in my lifetime. That's what happens when you get old. But I'm sure I've seen this before.
We
all right.
haven't.
Well, tallies
This
are
is a new
in.
movie.
You want to discuss
All
official Aussieverse top 5. So I am going to start off with number 5, obviously, is New Hope.
Yeah, like Ryan said, the one that started it off. Funny thing is, first time watching it, first time seeing the title, episode 4, I was searching what happened to 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, and they used to put them on every Friday night, like once a year, like this Star Wars trilogy, this Friday, New Hope, next Friday, And I remember watching it and saying, and I remember my dad always trying to make it sound so important and mystical and say, do you see how it says chapter 4 or whatever? It's because we don't know what's happened before then.
Well, that's a good way to put it, because that makes it a lot more exciting. So we had
because back then you
three
didn't.
people-
So I was just going to say, when the New Hope came out, you didn't have the internet to just Google what happened to, you know what I mean? You would have been literally being like, what? And no one could have told you the answer. So
Yeah. Maybe if you watched an occasional interview of George Lucas by random, because you couldn't go Google an interview, you just had to be random on TV.
The subtitle of
Rewind?
episode 4 as well, that wasn't there when the movie initially came out too. When the movie initially came out, it was just Star Wars and New Hope. And it wasn't until, I believe, the 1978 re-release where they added in episode 4.
Yeah.
wow.
It definitely was. And this is why we're still discussing it now. This was the game changer, New Hope. It was the first of it. First of the Star Wars, and it was just changed everything.
Especially the lives of the three main actors.
Yeah. So with this one, I didn't have this in my top 5. We only had Beau, Ryan, and Simple Simon had these in their top 5. Look, it's still a great movie, I do have to admit. It was just a little bit slower to start with, but it definitely builds. And they do really well, George Lucas or whoever helped, do really well of building up the characters and sort of easy to to follow, I guess. And it's such a weird concept, especially for something in the 80s when it first came. It's just a strange concept, wasn't it?
I also think it's sorry, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it just felt like it just worked. But yeah, go ahead, Bo.
I also think it's unfair to be able to really vote for the old trilogy versus the new in the same category, because all of these old movies we watched as kids. And how many movies do we still love that we watched as kids that we know are shit? But because you grew up with them and you love them, you're like, and I'm not saying that about Star Wars. I'm just saying, like, you can't help but not judge those nostalgic movies when you're a child fairly as you can walking into a cinema.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of
Neither.
there's a lot of films that I'll rewatch, like in 80s films that I thought was so good when I was a kid, and then I rewatch them like, man, I'm like trying not to fall asleep. Like things like Tron. I loved Tron when I was a kid. And then when the new when Tron Legacy came out, I was all pumped for Tron. I went back and rewatched the original. I was like, man, I just sat through 2 hours just to get to this bike race. Like, it was tough.
Just to be clear, you're not knocking Tron Legacy, are you?
No. I didn't mind I got so pumped up for Tron Legacy that I went back and watched the original because I loved it so much as a kid, and it was slow. Like it was tough to get through that. And like I realized that I loved it as a kid probably just because of the bike race at the end. So
Mine would be Superman 4, Quest for Peace.
Mine
So
was
that's nice.
Batman and Robin.
Good God.
Hey, I'm not saying that those movies don't exist either, because you're right, those do as well. But there is some that I've seen that I know. I can't even think of one right now. But there's been
Commando?
some-
That's a good movie.
Oh, that's right. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles I saw a couple of months ago for the first time in like probably 20 years. And that movie is corny as hell, and it was not as good as I remembered it. And I always said that I loved that movie. You know what I mean? So
Sometimes you can deal with corny if it's just, you know what you're getting yourself into. As I just mentioned, Commando. We all know that's pretty corny, but geez, it's still enjoyable to watch.
I think New Hope still looks good. I mean, obviously it looks old, but I think a lot of the things they did still hold up as far as the effects and stuff like that. Like you look at some, like they didn't have CG back then; they just did stuff, and it just, I think it looked good. I love it.
Yeah,
Plus,
Because
it
they're-
doesn't hurt that they've touched up A New Hope as well as the years have gone on and added in certain things that shouldn't be there, but ultimately I just have to deal with.
I don't like the new scenes because it's so obvious when you're looking at those new scenes because they have used the CG and it looks that there'll be just one random scene that looks so different from the rest of it. I really didn't like those
Jar
bits.
Jar. Wasn't it Jar Jar? He looked ridiculous. I liked the old version of Jar Jar.
and there's a Jabba the Hutt one as well.
Jabba, sorry, Jabba the Hutt
Yeah,
one. Sorry.
there's the Jabba, yeah.
I
I haven't seen episode 1, so I never got to live Jar Jar.
So, number 4, Return of the Sith.
You.
How is this only number 4?
It's Revenge as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Revenge.
Revenge,
sorry,
yeah.
Revenge of the Sith.
Star Wars guy, yeah.
Mate.
Yeah.
Because to me, at least, Revenge of the Sith, I put that on par with Jedi, or at least I tend to, for the simple reason of not just because they both wrap up trilogies, they both kind of have a similar feeling to them, to me.
Yeah. And it has my favourite character in it, General Grievous.
Yeah.
Four-armed robot. I love that.
Mm.
Plus, I thought the memes would bring this one up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just I guess for me when this is the turning point, I guess, in Anakin's sort of story arc, and it's just for me, no knock on him, and people might think differently. I just don't think Hayden Christensen delivers it real well. Like he's very plain for me. He has the one facial expression. He didn't do too bad, but that was just I was really looking forward to seeing him really lose it, and it felt a bit robotic for me. Maybe I need to go back and watch it again, get a second opinion. But yeah, that's why I didn't put it in my 5. But it's not bad. Not
it has my favorite scene in all of Star Wars when he murders those little kids.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say at the end when he says no.
Nah. But I do have a funny story for Revenge of the Sith. I saw this movie in cinemas when I was 5 years old. And I remember coming home with my dad, and then Mum asked me, "Oh, how was the movie?" And I specifically said, "It was awesome. Darth Vader's face burnt off." And you can just imagine the look of horror on my mum's face as I said that.
What did you take him to?
5-year-old Ryan.
I was going to say, they should have known what's going to happen in that movie.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That he's going to turn into Darth Vader and he's going to become a murderous prick.
Yeah,
That's,
for me, it's yeah. For me, it was the like Mark said, the wrapping up of the Anakin's story and how he actually eventually became one of the badass villains in movie cinema.
I find it so tragic though. Every time I watch it, it's heart-wrenching because it's an old classic tale that you've seen in comics and movies 100 times, where the villain is somebody that you understand, somebody that you feel for, somebody that you can see yourself making. Okay, maybe not killing children and going down that far, but you can see where you would make maybe the same with a lot of bad decisions going. Anyway, and then when it gets pure bad, you can't help but inside be like, why? Just be good.
What have I done?
You want the movie to change.
You were the chosen one.
I do really like that Revenge of the Sith as well. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. He gets this glimpse of the future of Padme dying, and then he tries to prevent it, and in trying to prevent it, he causes it to happen.
Oh, Chester.
On to number 3 of the official Aussieverse Star Wars top 5 is Rogue One. Just
Always saying, do I need to say anything more?
Well, you can.
For me, it was just that last scene with the red saber flinging all the soldiers onto the ceiling, onto the wall, and
that was amazing.
That was yeah.
Plus, this is the movie that put the wars back in Star Wars.
I thought,
like, it actually finally got gritty and into the war, and just people on the ground struggling to combat the opponent.
Yeah, no Jedi in the whole film at all. So yeah,
well, Donnie Yen was close, right? he was representing. I love that character that he played as well. I was really kind of not happy that they killed him off.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So,
Plus, Rogue One leads perfectly into A New Hope.
Yeah.
Perfect prequel.
Yeah. And it was a pretty emotional ending, like they all, spoiler alert, die sort of thing. And I thought the characters worked pretty well. I thought the character development was good. The android was good as well. And, as Simon said, the two best friends sort of thing, and they sort of die together as well because they've been together for so long. And then you got Forrest Whitaker in there as well.
You know that scene where they just sat and hugged together and just wait for the what do you call it? The plume of fire just engulf them. Just a couple of days ago, I was watching this YouTube video. Apparently, that scene was remade in the initial. I think they filmed it, both of them were supposed to be running away from that ball of fire, but they somehow the test audience didn't like that, so they changed it to just them sitting there hugging and then just wait for the demise.
Oh, good
Rogue
choice.
One was the first of many Disney Star Wars movies to be plagued with production issues. And I know that they actually reshot the entire third act of the movie.
That much?
Like, so they brought in Tony Gilroy, who's currently doing the Andor series and who wrote Rogue One. They brought him in to do the reshoots for it.
Interesting.
Wow. Yeah. How are you liking the Andor series? Any of you watching it?
Yeah, I'm watching it.
Not yet.
I'm so burnt
Oh,
out
no.
with Disney Star Wars.
Oh, you haven't watched it, Ryan?
No, I haven't watched it.
Okay, so from what I've gathered from, I guess, talking to people, because I know there's a lot of people who don't like it because they just said it's far too slow for them, which it's very slow. But what I've, I guess, come up with is I find people who really, really love Star Wars love Andor. Like, I know the people that, are obsessed with Star Wars that absolutely will say, no, it's awesome. It's a build up. You know what it's building up to. It's awesome. And then you get the people who say they like Star Wars, but oh, it's so slow. And then they complain. I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I do admit it's pretty slow, but like, it's kind of like they have like two to three episodes that will build up to one event. And then you have to go through another 2 or 3 episodes to build up to another one. But it's okay. Like, I don't hate it. But yeah, I've just found people who really are into Star Wars lore and all that sort of stuff are really digging it.
I'm only 2 episodes in, and I like it. So,
Right?
yeah. So it was a simple start off to the story. So it engaged
It started off great, right? The first episode, the way it starts is really good.
Yeah, and then you got the dude that's going to chase after him that just won't let it go. He's got some issues too. You can tell something's up his ass or something like that. I liked it. So we got top 2. So I think we all know which it is. Like out of the 2.
Oh, this is a great debate, isn't it?
This is the great debate because this one can go on for hours. This debate, but we won't. So officially number 2, Aussieverse. Ready for it? Empire Strikes Back.
I can't believe Jedi got put over this. This is bullcrap. I can't believe that. How do you put one of the greatest movies ever made below Return of the Jedi with bloody Ewoks?
Did Bo not even have Empire in his 5?
No, I did. Mine was number 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like Empire, it's one of the greatest stories ever told, easily. Like, just the way it's paced, to how the characters develop, and how it has all these twists and turns.
It has a costume. It has the big Sarlacc pit thing. It has Boba Fett. It has Ewoks. Yeah, okay. It has
yeah, but you know what? Empire also has Boba Fett.
Yeah,
okay, I just said about 10 things, and you said one of them.
Yeah, I wasn't listening to the other
so-
things. I was just focused on Boba Fett.
So before I started watching all the Star Wars movies, and again, this is only going back less than 6 months ago. I did this probably 4 months ago, maybe. I went and watched all the Star Wars movies, but I want to rewatch the original trilogy because I loved the original trilogy as a kid, and I've always been a Return of the Jedi guy. And I thought to myself, I think when I watch them this time, I think I'm going to change teams to Empire. So I watched Empire. I was like, yeah, that's so good. I'm probably going to be an Empire guy now. And then I rewatched Return of the Jedi, and I was like, no, I'm staying on Team Jedi.
I was exactly the same as you, Simon.
Empire's got maybe a better story, though, I would say.
Yeah.
I just think the movie Jedi just felt so much more epic with a lot of the things that happen in it. So
I was the same with you, Simon. I was like, when I was we had this idea to do this, I was like going, oh, I should really revisit Empire just to see if it can get me back over the edge because it's so close. And then I watched it and I was going, yeah, this is good. But then I started remembering Return of the Jedi and why I loved all that sort of stuff, the endings and stuff like that. But don't get me wrong, Empire Strikes Back's great. You've got the scene where they lasso around the feet and trip over that big mechanic legs.
At.
That's it. Yeah. And then you got obviously the training of Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, and yeah, it is a good setup for another movie. And obviously, being a good setup means if you can finish with the setup, probably should mean the finish will be better. Kind of like when you're playing volleyball, you got those guys that set up the ball, and then you got the guy that comes through and smashes it over the net. That's what Return of the Jedi is.
Is that what he always does? He just
No,
makes
it's more of a
For-
stumbling than hit.
For me, Empire would be
And then hit.
just at the setup, and just before the spiker spikes, it pauses. That is Empire. It just makes you all right. That's it. This movie just hooked me in, and I just it's still unresolved, and it makes you want more. Whereas, Return just wraps it up so nice, fireworks, and goes Jedi.
Plus, I would say that when people think of Star Wars, a lot of the stuff that they tend to think of comes from Empire.
Yeah, there's a lot of memorable moments. And this, I guess, I go the other way around because the bad guys essentially win in Empire Strikes Back. And it's a good setup. And it's kind of like in Avengers, I like Infinity War better than Endgame, which is kind of like Empire and Return of the Jedi, them two are. Because at the end of Infinity War, Thanos wins. So, yeah, it's kind of like Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
that's all my point.
No, I like that. That was good.
Yeah. But,
I guess the most classic lines definitely come from Empire.
Yeah.
So.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Mm-hmm.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you are not a Jedi yet.
I love you. I know.
And Solo. I guess you get the first meeting of Orlando as well. So
Yeah.
One thing I do have to acknowledge, though, you can tell that George Lucas didn't have it all thought out from A New Hope or Empire. It was just when he got the Jedi, he was like, I want this thing wrapped up in 3 movies and not 6.
When he probably shouldn't have started with episode 4.
Well, the original intention was that he would do more movies after 6. And then during the production of 6, he went, well, I've got a family now. I want to look after them. So he quickly wrapped it up.
Well, the reason I never watched episode 1 is because back in the day when it came out, I did watch episode 1, but I only got 15 minutes into it before I realized, you know what? I don't care about these characters. I care about Luke and Han and Chewie. That's why I never watched the rest of episode 1, and I never got into Star Wars. And then when I started rewatching it more recently, I kind of for some reason started at episode 2, and it was such a different world because obviously I'm used to like the original trilogy where it's like almost like a post-apocalyptic sort of desert, and then you get like I remember watching a scene in episode 2 when they're like he's jumping onto all the vehicles and stuff. I was like, this reminds me of Fifth Element for some reason.
Yeah.
So why did you start at episode 2 and not 1?
Well, Sarah actually just put it on one night, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm watching this. And then we watched episode 3, and then I went and watched the new. And again, I'd watched Force Awakens before the Star Wars guy thing happened, and I really enjoyed Force Awakens. I thought it was a good story. And then I never watched the rest because what people said, but also I watched Force Awakens because I heard Luke Skywalker was going to be in it. I was like, oh, what? I'll watch this new Star Wars movie if Luke Skywalker is going to be in it. And then a friend kind of spoiled it for me. He's like, oh, he's only in it for about 10 minutes. I was like, oh, Okay, so I'm sitting there in this movie waiting for this 10 minutes. He's in it for 10 seconds. I was thoroughly disappointed with his appearance in the movie.
I remember I saw Force Awakens in theaters 3 times when it came out. It was within a 2 or 3 week span, but I'm pretty sure I saw it 3 times. It was school holidays. I went to the first session the day it came out. I was really excited for Luke Skywalker. And then he was in there for 10 seconds. And I was like, okay, I can tolerate this as long as he gets a really good showing in the next movie. So I waited 2 years for that, went at midnight for that, and then was really disappointed when he threw that lightsaber off the fucking edge.
Find out your childhood hero is an asshole.
Never meet your heroes.
So what movies weren't on the list?
The
What
ones that
movies?
don't deserve to be.
Yeah, which ones were they? Which ones didn't make it? I know
So-
Solo was one.
Yeah, so there's 2 that didn't get a vote, I think, at all.
Episode
So
1.
that-
didn't.
Episode 2.
2 that didn't get a vote. So Last Jedi didn't get one single vote,
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace.
and Phantom
Yeah.
Menace. Yeah,
If Phantom Menace ever got a vote, it was for that last 10 minutes where they fight Darth Maul.
and
Yeah,
That's
and
the
thanks
best
to
part of
Bo-
that movie. Apart from that, leave it, junk it, get rid of it.
True. I don't think I've watched that since almost it came out. Phantom Menace.
Are you-
Yeah, it's a hard watch.
Does that mean I don't have to watch it to complete my Star Wars story? Like I don't
No,
need it?
I think you do because it's the start of Anakin. But
Unless, also, it kind of leads into the Obi-Wan series.
Oh yeah, because Qui-Gon isn't, and I don't know anything about him or Darth Maul for that fact. So,
so yeah, watch it once, dude, just so you've seen it. But because there is some good bits in it, the pit with the fighting and that, and a few other things. But yeah, it's just compared to other Star Wars movies, it's not great. That's all.
I'd
We-
probably watch that again before I'd watch Attack of the Clones, in all honesty.
Oh,
Can't do that movie again.
Attack of the Clones is
Oh,
pretty.
yes.
Again, there's so much politics in it. I was just like, what?
Yeah,
I still like the Yoda fight in that. That did it for me.
yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
back in the day when I came out and everyone was going on about that. Like it was like the talk of the whole movie.
It was memorable for me. So, what was everybody's least favorite Star Wars movie? Do you think, Ryan? Obviously,
Yes.
It's a toss-up. It's a very big toss-up between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. But I'm going Rise of Skywalker because that was a piece of garbage that just
What?
didn't know what it wanted to do. And went, you know what? I'm going to try and please everyone, and ended up pleasing no one.
Sharif.
I guess. Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. Bo.
Yeah.
It's either Phantom Menace or Rogue One. Phantom Menace, yeah.
Please
Robin?
elaborate on the
Yeah.
Rogue One decision there. Please elaborate on that.
I thought it was a waste of a film. They didn't need to make it. You're going to put all that money into a Star Wars film, and that's what you're going to give us? Bridge a gap between 2 fucking movies? No.
A well-written story. Yeah.
A well-written story that provides a lot of context that was
Sitting there the
pretty
whole
good
time, what is
in
this
the
shit
grand scheme of things.
for? Now, don't get me wrong. I've only ever seen it once, and that's when it came out. And I've said it a lot of times on this channel. I need to watch things twice before I give them my proper review. So maybe I should watch it again. I just remember when I went to the cinema and saw it. Yeah, obviously there's some good scenes, blah, blah, blah. But I generally had a feeling walking out going, Death Star again?
It's a prequel about the Death Star. What do you expect?
Your big giant circle that is impenetrable, but one bullet can boom and then explode. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
I've always had a problem with that.
Just like on Independence Day, you can fly through it.
I've I've spent billions of space dollars to build this thing. I didn't think about covering that one little hole that miraculously goes right to the heart of that fucking ship.
Which they explain why
Yeah,
it's
he
there
deliberately
in
did
Rogue
it.
One,
Yeah.
with a very good
Oh, yeah,
explanation.
okay, but still, okay, then I take that argument back, and Darth Vader will then say, I've spent billions of space dollars making this circular thing, and you're telling me that nobody could detect that little flaw? The whole thing, there is no gaps.
Because he
And no
spent his time hiding that flaw and making sure that it wasn't noticeable.
All right, answer me this. Is Star Wars in the future?
No, it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
A long time ago. What the fuck?
Got you there.
You just fucking blew my mind, bro. I always thought Star Wars is in the future. It's a long time ago in a galaxy. What the hell is going on? Okay.
Have you not been reading those starts?
Seriously, okay, apart from that, it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Is it not in the future? Look at all this technology and shit.
It's another galaxy, mate. We don't know.
Yeah, okay, well then that. Now, I've completely lost the fucking point of this argument. Oh, the Death Star, yeah. You're telling me you couldn't have, with your space technology. All right.
It's like off that Simpsons quote. The guy goes, "Shh, I'm trying to get fired."
Oh man.
Simon, what was your least favorite?
Well, if you don't count the Phantom Menace, which I haven't even watched, Attack of the Clones was really boring to me. And obviously, what was the second Last Jedi, is it? That was, I feel like it didn't really, the story just didn't feel like it continued from Force Awakens. And that's got a lot to do with what the directors or whatever, right, changed or something like that. Is that the story?
Abrams. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I just feel like Force Awakens kind of had this really good sort of story, and then you watch the second episode, it's like, wait, why isn't it connecting? Why isn't anything from the first one happening in the second one? So, yeah, I'd say probably Last Jedi.
I really hate in that movie how they just discard almost everything that gets set up in Force Awakens and pretty much close it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my least favorite would be same as Ryan, Rise of Skywalker. That was just big disappointment, and like the big reveal, Palpatine again. Come on, let's
not forget how they announced that as well. The big reveal of Palpatine's back. Fortnite, bloody Fortnite.
Yeah. Just felt lazy, and as Ryan said, they're just trying to tap into everyone's nostalgia and just got it really wrong.
Did they actually explain how it was Palpatine? They kind of just said somehow
He's
Palpatine.
There. Yeah.
Right?
And he's
in a book
related
they put
to
out
Ray?
after the movie, and for some reason, J.J. Abrams just decided, you know what, we don't need to explain it. We're just going to say Palpatine's back.
Yeah. And is that Ray's relative, or is that? Do we ever find out what her parents were, or?
So her dad is a clone of Palpatine, who is his son, who went rogue and was not force sensitive, and he went and had a kid, and that kid was Ray, and it's bloody complicated.
And then where are the parents? Are they actually dead now, or
they're actually dead.
Yeah. Well, I figured that, but I just couldn't remember. It was just like wasn't explained.
I liked how I was kind of shocked because I was watching it by myself. Sarah had fallen asleep, and I had no idea that Harrison Ford was going to appear. And I literally yelled out loud, like, "What the fuck?" when he appeared. And then I woke Sarah up. I remember. That's kind of cool. It's good seeing that.
I do think that with Rise of Skywalker, they had a good opportunity to just close it all off and bring all three trilogies together. But they didn't really accomplish that too well by just ignoring the prequel trilogy pretty much and not really bringing in anything from there.
Yeah. I have a reasonably funny story. I saw this. I don't know if it was real, but it was a text that was going around about this time of Force Awakens, and it was a dude messaging his mate, and he goes, "Mate," he goes, "I was in the cinema and I saw your girlfriend hooking up with another dude while they were killing off Han Solo in the Han Solo scene." And the dude messages back at, "Wait, Han Solo's dead?"
Yeah, sure got his priorities straight.
Hey, now he's asking the right questions.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anything else to add, or?
Good.
No. So that's the Aussieverse official top 5. We got number 1, Return of the Jedi. Empire Strikes Back, number 2. 3 is Rogue One. 4 is which one? The Sith. Yeah.
Revenge.
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. For some reason, I've written down Return. I'm an idiot. New Hope, number 5. So yeah, that's it, everyone. So that's our official top 5 Star Wars movies. If anyone want to put down their top 5s in the comment section, or add anything, or got any suggestions as well, let us know. And did you want to add something, Bo? Or?
No, mate. I was just saying, good work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, put in comments
if people watching this video want to find Simon, where can they find him?
Oh, Simple Simon, one word. Just look for a cartoon version of this head, and you'll find it. But yeah, leave in the comments Team Empire or Team Return of the Jedi. Exactly. On this channel, it's Team Return of the Jedi. Isn't that right, Ryan?
Yeah. So maybe we can set up a debate, and we all write down our arguments, be one on each side, and see who wins this debate. Empire versus Jedi. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We've got plenty more content to come, and we've got plenty more of us to come. And yeah, please to like and subscribe. And yeah, and what is Aussieverse, everybody?
4.
Thank you. And this is a word from our sponsors.
This show is sponsored by the Comx shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.